Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. So I realize I'm looking a little glam today. I've been watching old movies from the 1940s with my husband. And one movie I just watched, which actually was a rewatch, was Cat People, directed by Jacques Tourneur. I think that's how you say his name, with the beautiful French actress Simone. I think maybe it's how you say it. I'm not sure. But it's a great movie. And I really got into the whole like 1940s glam. And so that's why I made the effort. I also think I'm making the effort a little more today because it's really been a crappy week. There's been a lot going on with friends of mine, not to get into their personal business, but I did lose a friend this past weekend. One of my best friend's husbands passed away. So I'm feeling pretty down about it, and everyone in our circle is. And anyway, I don't want to go into that right now, but I feel like just reading and watching old movies and dressing up because it's fun kind of helps lift my mood, and doing a video for you guys. So that's just kind of where my head is today. So if I seem a little distracted or a little weirder than usual, maybe that's why. Anyway, so let's talk about these books that I read this month so far. So the first one is a book that I'm not even sure where I got this, but I put it on the stack with all my rock and roll horror books, which will be developed into a big playlist coming up once I read them all. And I keep finding more, so it might be a while, or maybe I'll just start sometime in the fall with just developing this playlist, which I've been wanting to do for a while. And anyway, this book is called Night Music by Shelia Bristow Garner. It has very few reviews on Goodreads, and the ones that it does have, it's like a one-word review. Someone just wrote garbage, which, I don't know, maybe I'm just feeling a little sensitive these days, but just sometimes just keep that kind of stuff to yourself, because looking at the author, first of all, the photo's very strange. I was talking about author photos in one of my videos last week, and this one is just, this looks like a gal that does not want to have her picture taken. When someone goes to take your picture and you're like that. But when I read through her little bio, it got to me. I mean, it kind of moved me, because, I know what it's like to be a neglected author. Just saying, I will link my books below if you're interested. But here's what she writes. Shelia, I don't know if it's Shelia or Shelia, Bristow Garner worked in assorted factories and offices, took courses in auto mechanics and secretarial science, and studied computer engineering before selecting nursing as a vocation and writing as an avocation. She lives in North Carolina with 5 cats, 2 dogs, and high hopes. That last little line kind of got to me, because I think, look, it's easy to read a book and kind of just write garbage, and I've gotten my fair share of bad reviews, and you do develop a thick skin after a while, but, not everyone has dreams and high hopes and goes to auto mechanic school and becomes a nurse and writes in their free time, okay? Let's have a little respect. I actually enjoyed this book. I mean, is it a great masterpiece? No, but it's a fun piece of like 80s nostalgia. Let's see what year it came out. It's actually a very sexy book. This was published by Pinnacle Books. It came out in 1992. Sometimes, there's that early 90s where the 80s and 90s kind of blend. I remember it well. I got married in 1990 and my shoulder pads were like out to here. Okay, so let's see what this book is about. Her lonely nights were over for hospital nurse Kitty Barrett. Now, she is also a nurse, so I felt like this Kitty character, that's one thing I really liked about the book, is this Kitty character really rang true for me. Handsome Michael Sandin seemed the perfect answer to all her lonely nights, a rock guitarist with dark good looks. Michael not only had given up the fast and dangerous party habit of his kind, but he was ready to settle down in Ocean City, North Carolina with his music and with her. But the horror was just beginning, of course. But a shocking series of savage cult murders led Kitty to the terrifying conclusion that the Michael she worshipped held a dark and deadly secret. Captured by the magnetic spell of the band's mysterious new member, Michael slowly began to backslide into a nightmare of blood and terror that Kitty could not imagine until she was forced to experience the savagery herself. Now Kitty found herself a prisoner, caught between the man she loved and his reckless covenant with the ultimate inhumane evil, night music. So it's like a rock and roll, like occult book. Pretty much what I just read pretty much sums up the plot. Is not long. But so they're this couple. Michael's in a band. He's cute. Like the lyrics of the band of some of their songs are kind of funny. In fact, Grady Hendrix wrote a humorous review on this book, and I'm just curious if he was reading, like I'm trying to do, all of these rock and roll horror books in preparation for when he wrote his book, and we sold our souls. I think that's what it's called. I have that on my shelf and I read it. That is definitely part of my rock and roll repertoire. We Sold Our Souls. I'm thinking he was doing his research, and he didn't really write. I mean, maybe he gave it 2 or 3 stars. I don't remember, but it's not like he loved it. But you know what? I have a special place in my heart for this book and this author. And if she's out there, I hope she hears this and gets encouraged or whatever maybe I'll try to find her. I didn't find any other books by her, but you know, like I said, it's good to have high hopes, and don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. All right? You do what you want to do. If you want to write the craziest books you can possibly imagine, do it. Because I actually like to read those books. So those readers are out there, okay? I always think about that when I'm writing like a scene in one of my books, and I was like, ooh, this is really, I had one reviewer, and I actually had kind of laughed at this. This is for my book, Black Magic, which is a rock and roll kind of occult book. If I can plug my own book there for a second, I'll link it below. But someone wrote in one of the reviews, like, they didn't just write garbage, but it was kind of like something about, I don't know, whack jobs, or my characters were whack jobs or something. I had to laugh at that because it is kind of true. But anyway, so in this book, it's kind of more like a love story, and there's a lot of sex scenes, and I think I must have read the word nipple like 1,000 times. So if that's a trigger warning for you, just letting you know, I was a little bit like, okay, there are other parts of the body involved here. So they have hot and heavy sex. He doesn't drink. He only drinks this weird chocolate. It's like it must be native to the South or North Carolina or something. Choco Mew or something. I don't know. I've never heard of it. It's like chocolate milk. There was a lot of that. And this new band member, this mysterious guy named, is it Zeke, I think? Zeke or Zach? No, Zeke. Starts pouring this mysterious liquid into the chocolate milk, and it's making Michael turn into a monster, and he starts having really rough sex with Kitty, and she's like, what's going on? So she's kind of stuck between, should I stand by my man? What's happening to him? Or should I, kick him to the curb or just get on a bus and get the hell out of here, go work at the, auto mechanic place? So I felt like this book was personal to this author. And look, sincerity always wins a lot of points for me. And it was not badly written at all. It showed a lot of skill. So Shelia or Shalaya, if you're out there, I really liked your book a lot. I gave this, I think, 3 stars. Or 3, I might upped it to 4, but I don't want to lie. It's not like a great classic or anything, but it's an enjoyable read. And that means a lot, especially when you're having like a really, bad week and you just want a distraction. So I did appreciate it on that level. Okay, next up is a very good book, and I did a review on the film version of this book, and I will also link that below. And I did mean to read the book right after I watched the movie, but for some reason this sat on my night table for like over a year, gathering dust, and I don't know why I didn't pick it up. Maybe because I saw the movie. I don't know. The movie's great. The book is great, and that is Mephisto Waltz by Fred Mustard Stewart. I read another book by him called Star Child, which I didn't like as much, and maybe that's why I didn't read this one. It was okay. I thought that one was a little bit too hokey a premise, but this is very good. The cover's very cool too. First of all, this is exactly the type of book I love to read and aspire to write. And that is the short, very compact plot-driven stories that you cannot put the book down. So even though I knew it was going to happen because I saw the movie, and it pretty much follows the movie, only this takes place in New York and the movie takes place in California, I could not put this book down. And I think it's the way it was written. It was really, really well done. So you could say it's almost exactly like Rosemary's Baby. So if you love Rosemary's Baby and you can't get enough of that book and you want it just to keep going on forever, I think you would enjoy reading this book. If you're looking for something completely original that's nothing like Rosemary's Baby, you might be like, oh, this is too much like Rosemary's Baby. So it comes with that caveat. I gave it 5 stars because my enjoyment level of this book and the fact that I couldn't put it down made me love it. It's very well written. The prose is really smooth. So this book is about a couple named Miles and Paula Clarkson. They live in New York City and like the East Village in an apartment that would now be like millions of dollars. So Miles was set to become a great concert pianist, and his debut was a failure. He gave up on his dream and became a writer. But he's not very motivated. He's been working on the same novel forever. Paula believes in him, but she's kind of getting to that point in her life where she's like, okay, when's it going to happen? So Miles is picking up some work as a journalist, and he gets the job to interview I think it's for the New York Times or New York Magazine, a great concert pianist, world-renowned, named Duncan Ely. He's an older gentleman, very famous, has done concerts at Carnegie Hall, is a classic pianist. And Miles is very awestruck by this man. He's kind of like a hero. And at first, Duncan Ely is very kind of standoffish to meet this guy, but all of a sudden he becomes like obsessed with Miles's hands, because of how big they are, and they have this great reach. And suddenly he becomes interested in him. Oh, you were a pianist, but you gave it up too soon. And he and his gorgeous, played by Barbara Parkins in the movie, gorgeous daughter, Roxanne, who's this beautiful, dark, witchy, stunning woman, start becoming a little too interested in the Clarksons. Miles becomes very seduced by it, a lot like Rosemary's Baby, where you have the couple. It's a similar kind of setup, but Paula, and they do have a daughter, Paula becomes suspicious of this attention, as anyone would, because now all of a sudden these people are at your house, they want to be your best friend, and they live in like this mansion on Fifth Avenue. When Duncan Ely dies, all kinds of weird things start happening, which I won't give away. It's very well written, it's clever, it's well plotted, very, very nicely done. It has some twists, and I also recommend the movie. They're great to pair together if that's your thing. And finally, this is a book I received from a fellow booktuber, Chuck the Book Dweller. I will link his Instagram and his booktube channel below. Thank you, Chuck, again, for sending me a fabulous book. He actually sent me 2, and they're actually 4 books in one because there are 2 in each of these books. I haven't read the other one yet, but I will because it's Gothic romance. But I did read the first one in this book, and I'm about halfway through, maybe not quite halfway through, the second one. But I just wanted to say how much I loved this and to thank Chuck for sending it to me. The Waiting Sands and the Devil on Lammas Night. I like this cover too. It has a very Halloween vibe to it. So this one, I read the first one, The Waiting Sands, and man, I could not put this book down. It's more like a mystery than a Gothic romance. I saw that it had been repackaged as a Gothic romance you can buy like a separate copy of it with the girl running away from the castle. There is kind of a castle in it. It's very Gothic, I have to say, but I would think it's more like a mystery, like a murder mystery than romance, although there are romantic elements in it. Great setting. It takes place in the Highlands of Scotland, and she describes this mansion as being imprisoned between like the mountains and the sea. There's no electricity, no running water. Decima is afraid that she's going to be murdered by her older husband, the Oxford professor, before her 21st birthday. So the clock is ticking because her 21st birthday is coming up. She's having a big party, and she invites an old school chum named Rachel, who's kind of a plain Jane girl. And this is a trope you see a lot in these types of books. There's the glamorous type, like the Rebecca in Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, and then you have the plain Jane type, who, and as Lydia from Typical Books pointed out, the protagonist in Rebecca doesn't even have a name. She's so plain Jane. But I've seen this same trope played out, and it works. I totally love it. So she goes to the party with this male friend of hers, and there's all kinds of intrigue going on. And the place is desolate. You know, you can only get there by boat, and it's very treacherous, especially when a storm kicks up. And the beach has quicksand on it. So there's a lot to be said for the setup of this book. I really loved it. And then I started reading the next one, The Devil on Lammas Night, which has a very similar tone. I love her writing style. I love the Englishness of it. It's very gothic. It's very misty and cool. So I found a new author I love. And she has like tons and tons, like thousands of reviews on her Goodreads. So I'm just been ignorant of this author. So not anymore, thanks to Chuck.
What are you doing under here?
So that's all I have for today. Let me know in the comments below what you've been reading, and if you have any recommendations for these types of books, or if you know of these authors. I would love to hear your thoughts. So that's all I have for today. Thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.